everyone. Hey, Kath, how's it going? Hey, Bianca. Hey, Macy. Hey, TJ. Hi to everyone. Hey, Samantha. Feel free to leave your cameras on if you want. For those of you who, I think I know everyone. I think I can recognize all these names on the chat. Hi, I'm Maggie. I founded PepTalkHer because the gender pay gap annoys me. And I'm, hey, Samantha. And I'm all about getting y'all promoted, paid more money, feeling more financially independent, and getting to a point where you have financial freedom. That is my shtick. That's what the 5-day challenge is about. And so we wanted to just have a graduation today, really just to hold space to kind of I wanted to open it up to you all if you want to jump in and kind of share what's come up for you over the past week and a bit. And if there's been any shifts that you've observed, anything that worked, anything that didn't work, and any sort of intentions that you want to set going forward as well. I'm actually in Costa Rica right now, randomly. It's a long story, which I'll have to tell you all about another day. I'm on a retreat and actually it's been so good that I'm wondering whether we should run one for the Pep Talker community. So let me know in the chat if you'd be down for that. And it's pretty random, but I think it could be amazing. It's beautiful. And if it storms and rains, they told me the internet might drop out. Hopefully it doesn't. So fingers crossed that does not happen. So anyway, that's just a side note that I wanted to let you know. And I had to put the blinds down. Otherwise I would have liked to have showed you all the view, but the light was weird. So just like, and I don't know if it's okay, Kath, Bianca, Samantha, if you are in a place where you can talk, but I can see you. So you're the first names that came to mind. And equally like Macy, Melinda, TJ, everyone in the chat as well. What's the one thing that's kind of shifted for you? Kath, I know you've been on most of the calls. Like, has there been a big shift that you've observed over the past week or so?
Absolutely, because I'm going through an interview process at the moment. I had a second interview yesterday, and my whole mindset is that, and I'm really keen. I'm like, I just love them. And I've asked for what I want, and they've put me through the process anyway. And I'm just, yeah, I'm happy to walk away if they're not going to pay me enough. So
No. So
that's
clear on
amazing.
your boundaries. Clear. And
Yeah.
so talk me through. So hang on. So Kath, 7 days ago, 10 days ago, what would your attitude have been at that point?
Um, I was kind of like, oh, because I've moved from Sydney to Melbourne. Haven't worked since October, end of October. Um, I'm sort of now starting to get a little bit anxious about it, and I was starting to think, well, maybe I'll go for something less than what I want. So now I'm kind of like, no, absolutely not.
Love it.
And
We love to hear it.
yeah, the conversation I had with the CEO yesterday, he's a really dynamic person, and he sort of said he loves to promote his staff and what have you. And I immediately went from executive assistant to chief of staff. So now I have a very clear career path in my mind
Of where you
going
could,
forward,
yeah,
where I can,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So what I'm hearing for you is like the change in terms of what could be possible, for you, not just in terms of what you're earning, but also what that trajectory could look like, which will probably lead to more money, but also more like alignment and feeling just more interested, more like you're learning, less like you're stagnating at work as well, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And for me, like I love to hear these stories and I want to hear more. TJ, I know you had your hand up. If you want to jump off of me, feel free. Yeah, I'm all about transformations. And so I love hearing the transformations we've had over this week. And I want to talk to you more about other transformations that we see in the Career Level Up program as well. But TJ, did you want to jump in or maybe you're not able to talk anymore?
Absolutely. Megan, you are amazing, incredible. I mean, I just absolutely adore you. I love your energy. This platform has been absolutely outstanding. I hate that it's coming to an end, but I love the fact that you've extended an invitation to all of us to continue on with this. So I'll definitely be looking into that. I just wanted to share, Megan, that for me, this gave me an extra boost of confidence. And so it made me also open my eyes and realize I'm not stuck, meaning I don't have to settle for what I thought was status quo, meaning if they give you this answer, that is the answer, and you need to walk away with that and knowing that that's it. It's not it. Thank you, Megan. And we actually have an opportunity to challenge that. And you helped us kind of, well, you helped me wake up and realize my true value. I thought I knew my value, but this call took me to a whole nother level. Now, Megan, I don't want to take over and keep talking, but I'm so passionate about this. This has been amazing. So I'm going to hit that mute button. But thank you. It's been such an honor to meet you. I absolutely adore you.
Well, I don't, TJ, we've never met, but like, I feel like we need to meet. I'm so grateful. And I loved something that resonated with me that you said, I'm not stuck. And it's funny because like a lot of us, not funny, but like we get to that point, right? Like we're super smart, we're super intelligent, we're super successful, all those things. And yeah, we all get to points in our career and we have seasons where we feel stuck. Right. And sometimes all you need is a shakeup. And the point of the challenge is to be that shakeup. So I'm so glad, TJ, that it worked for you. I hope that you don't, it doesn't sound like you need like I love hearing from you because you sound so confident, but then I love to hear that you actually needed to be reminded of how confident and how valuable and how amazing you are. Because, I think it's easy for us to forget sometimes our friends who are extroverted or who seem confident. Again, sometimes in here, we don't feel like 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 like we should do, ostensibly from the data. And so the point of this challenge is to really shift us away from that place of kind of imposter syndrome, kind of doubting ourselves, and towards like, actually, no, let's look at this rationally. Kind of a big deal, like totally worth it, as Kath said. And as TJ said, I'm not stuck anymore. So I'd love to hear that, TJ. Thank you. You need to let me know when we're in New York so we can meet in person. That's so cool. So let's do a quick recap as well. And like, well, just quickly, is there anyone else who's like, what's the one key thing for you? Bianca, I don't know if you're able to come off of mute, or Sydney or Samantha,
Sure.
but I can see you.
Yeah, I'll,
Yeah.
I'll come off mute. Hi. I really took away the human piece from when you gave us the overview of the course. I'm actually starting, or my company's on a annual year review cycle. So our review cycles for last year are starting now, and I had to fill out my self-evaluation form yesterday and kind of be prepared for what I'll be getting back and the conversations that'll be coming up in the next little while. And kind of I really appreciated the human piece that you spoke about. And I think you answered one of my questions as well, which was, what do I do when they say that there's sort of the decision is not necessarily within their hands? And that was really critical for me to think, well, what other relationships do I need to be building? And how I think in my job, I'm pretty good at negotiating, but I seem to falter at negotiating for myself. So how do I appeal to what is important to them in the way that's important to me and get what I need, and sort of using the relationships, which I think I'm pretty good at building, and then being a little bit more strategic with which relationships I build.
Yeah, because you got limited time, right? And especially when you're a people person, you want to have really deep relationships with everyone, but at the end of the day, you've got limited time. And so
Yeah.
I think being strategic about it can help you direct your energy in a way that feels good and that is going to sort of get you what you need
Mm.
um, from work as well. I love
I
that.
thought I thought about it. There's a particular like HR manager for the Pacific region that is based in Perth, and I don't have a super close relationship with her. And it really made me realize, oh, hang on, she's in the room for those discussions. I should probably get in with her a little bit more.
So smart, so smart. And it's about, it's that whole, you've probably heard the quote of like, you have to work smarter, not harder. And I think that's really, well, a lot of what this is, right? It's kind of reminding you of like, there's lots of different ways that you can go about it, but I want to make sure that you can do it in a way that is sustainable, because our careers are long. We're probably all going to work for another 20, 30, 40 years, maybe longer. I don't know. Who knows with the way technology is going, but I want to make sure that that feels good. I don't want you to feel burnt out or like, I was talking to someone who actually she just texted me then, and she's going to be in our next cohort of the career level up, which starts next week. But she was saying like, she's like, I don't even know what work-life balance is. And I think that kind of makes me really sad, because I also have been there, by the way. Back when I was a correspondent, it was so stressful. I used to like sleep with this bad boy cell under my pillow. And it's just like, like in that constant state of like 10% anxiety. Like it was fine, but there was just like this low level, like, and then now I don't have that. I'm like, oh gosh, I actually don't know how I cope with that. And I think for a lot of us, we want to be so successful. We want to, maybe we're people pleasers, recovering people pleasers like I am, which we talk about in the second module of the program. But like, depending on how you work, you actually are able to get to a place where the results are the same and the impact is the same, but actually your stress levels and your free time actually looks very different, right? And that's one of the things that it's funny, we don't talk about that a lot, because I always talk about like the tangible results of like, I want you to get paid more, I want you to get promoted, I want you to have great relationships, which I do. But then the byproduct of all of that stuff, which I find from folks who go through the challenge and then the career level up program, and even folks in our mastermind, is like, it's just a shift. It's the shift that TJ talked about not feeling stuck. And Kath mentioned something too as well. I'm just going to take a quick look. What did Kath say? Well, Kath was talking about like feeling now like she's actually just not going to accept whatever gets thrown at her. Because I want you all to get to a place where it's not just like picking up the scraps. It's like, I'm not a scrap person, you know, like I want you to all be in a place where you're like, I want to approach this from a place of power. Now, will I get everything I want straight away? I mean, I hope so, fingers crossed. But even if you don't, you can have that conversation from a place of confidence, from power, rather than feeling like you kind of have to just like say yes to whatever they offer you and feeling like you're diminutive. Instead, feeling like, let's have a conversation about this and let's talk about this as a two-way street. So that's one of the mindset shifts and transformations that really excites me. And actually, to something that Kath mentioned, and also TJ, one of our graduates from the program, Hanya, she talked about when she came into the program and the challenge, she was probably more glass half empty, if she's being honest. Whereas now she's like, I just see possibility everywhere. And she works for TikTok now. She works for a really big company, which she didn't ever think was possible. She transferred from a very old school industry into a tech industry, which she also didn't know how to do. But she's like, now I approach everything that I think about or I kind of desire in my career, I approach it from a place of like possibility, as opposed to like, well, it's too hard and like, I don't even know, you know. So it's that transformation that that excites me and that leads to great results. Samantha, actually, I haven't asked you this, but I don't know if there's anything that's coming up for you, because Samantha's actually in the current cohort of the career level up. So, and Samantha, I know you've got a few things happening at work, but I don't know, is there anything that's coming up for you right now that's shifted?
Yeah, definitely the mindset. It's my mindset's definitely shifted. I've gone from, feeling anxious all the time and oh my God, like, this is bad and like bad stuff's happening all the time to, you know what? Well, let's make an opportunity out of this. Like, okay, so I just had a comp review negotiation thing with HR last week, and the reason it was with HR is because my manager got sacked. And all the discussions that I'd had with her in my performance review and that happened in December is I felt I went into it starting to feel like it was in vain, but then my mindset just like shifted like that. Like, no, it's not. Just use this as an opportunity to showcase to HR. It's like, they don't know much of what you do. And then so I walked away from that negotiation, not getting what I want necessarily, but I still walked away feeling opportunistic and like positive about it. Like I didn't get what I want, but like my mindset just changed. Like I could see myself like, 3-4 months, or not 3-4 months, maybe November, October last year, walking away from a conversation like that, feeling absolutely flat, but I didn't feel flat.
Well, and it's interesting. I just was catching up before this call as I was prepping for our graduation call, Samantha. I was catching up on the Slack. So all of the career level up cohorts, we have a Slack, like a private Slack for the folks in that program. And Samantha was saying, yeah, she'd had this conversation. It didn't go how she wanted, but what was interesting was she'd actually created another touch point. So there is another touch point. I think it's in 12 or 14 weeks, you were saying in the Slack. And so that's, again, one of the transformations that folks often talk about is like, it's like what I want you to learn and what I teach you as like that muscle that becomes very strong and part of your day-to-day life in negotiations, but certainly in your career, is like any conversation, even a rejection, is just a redirection, right? So Samantha didn't get what she wanted. I think it was yesterday maybe. She didn't get what she wanted. And what she's actually done, which I'll ask you, Samantha, what she did was she didn't get what she wanted, but she redirected that to say, okay, now what? And they said 12 to 14 weeks. And so she's redirected that into another touch point and another opportunity, rather than saying, well, I'm pissed off, screw you guys, I'll talk to you in a year. She's like, okay, cool, boundaries, like I don't agree, but okay, so how about this? And then we'll talk again, so kind of like, again, you have that authority and that power to, in a very kind way, just put in place some boundaries and say, like, I am disappointed. You're allowed to express that. It doesn't mean they're going to fire. It doesn't mean they're going to be angry, but you can say, like, you can be proactive, which is what I heard from you, Samantha, in the Slack channel today. And I haven't actually, I hope it's okay to throw you in the deep end like this. Like, would you have redirected towards that second touch point, do you think, before you'd done the career level up?
No, no way. And another thing that came up as well in that conversation with HR is because I put my demands forward and like what I wanted. And they said, oh, I'd have to go back and check whether that's on par with like the industry standard of salary that you're asking for. And like, 3 months prior, Sam would have just been like, oh, okay. But I actually said, yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, but this is how I'm different to your industry standard. So whilst I appreciate you're going to go and do the homework and find out, what's the salary like for this role, just bear in mind that I'm different and what I bring is different from what anyone else would.
And that's really, and you've sort of hit the nail on the head. And again, I hope it's okay I threw you in the deep end like that, just asking that. And I appreciate you being so candid. But like, it's like, you all know, and by the way, I'm sitting on a leather chair and sometimes it's creaking and it sounds a little bit like a fart. So just FYI, it's not a fart, it's the chair. Just to be clear, because this sounds quite loud when I'm moving around on this leather chair. Anyway, but what I was going to say was like, yeah, like it's, you all know that you're awesome and your friends all know that you're awesome. Like that's not up for debate. And then the challenge is like, how do we consistently let your boss know? HR, because Samantha had a situation, her boss knew, had promised her all this stuff, and then they got laid off. That's annoying. So then how do you pivot that? But again, it's like, let's just do the breadcrumbs throughout your career so that your colleagues up, down, sideways, all are very clear, your value, your impact, how you're collaborative, all of those things, so that we've got a village of folks supporting you, and that argument and that negotiation for more pay, for a promotion, for a title, for a transfer, whatever it is, because we don't want to rely on one person, right? Because they could fall out of favor, they could get sacked, something could happen, or, we just don't know. And so one of the things that I want you to walk away from in terms of, the challenge, but also for those of you who feel called to kind of do more work with us through the Career Level Up program, which starts next week, is like consistently having those touch points at work. And by the way, outside of work too, always need a plan B. And that's a big thing that we talk about in the course too. I want you to have multiple plan Bs, whether that's jobs, whether that's side hustles, whether that's paid board roles, volunteer board roles, whatever that is. We want you to have those options because stuff happens. Companies close down. Like my friend, I won't say the company, I don't think it's public yet. She used to work for a very big company. They just laid off 75% of their staff today. Just a big decision from a big corporate company who bought this smaller company, right? So it's just like, okay, so what are those folks going to do? And if it was any of you all, I want to make sure that you've got, okay, this sucks. I'm going to mourn this for a day or two, and then I'm going to move on because I've got lots of irons in lots of fires, and I'm going to be fine, because that's what you'll get to. So I think it's module 3 where we do the network matrix. And so you'll actually build out we're going to actually quantify your network and figure out where are those gaps. We're going to plug the gaps. We're going to make a situation. We teach you a system. It's like literally less than an hour a year that you'll have multiple touch points with your network so that they're always warm. Because those people who just like call you when they lose their job and they don't talk to you at any other time in your life. You don't want to be that person, right? Because that's not a super warm relationship. We want to have folks who are warm, who are thinking of you. You're thinking of them consistently throughout the year. And so it's all of these little tiny 1%, 5% tweaks that when they add up, and as you've heard from folks who joined, some of our former students who actually redid the challenge with you all, they're up 60%, they're up 220% on their salary since they did the course. Now, some of them did the course 2 or 3 years ago, but it's still pretty bananas if you think about it. Like, it's quite a lot. And that's what I want for you. And I don't want you to have to do it in a way that leads to burnout and stress and selling your soul. Like, that's not what I'm here for. It's about like, actually, as part of this Costa Rica retreat that I'm at, there's like a yoga session. Of course there is, it's Costa Rica. But like the teacher was saying, she's like, she was talking about authority is about being the author of your life or something. I can't remember how it came up in a yoga class, but it did. And I was like, oh, it's so interesting. That concept of like authoring your life versus someone else, like you just being a puppet in your life, in your career. Because I don't know if anyone can relate. Like, I felt like I was a puppet sometimes and I'd get transferred here and there. I was like, is this actually what I want? Or is this just what suits the news director? Or is this just what suits the managing director or the head of sales when I was working in sales? So I thought that was kind of an interesting concept that I wanted to share with you all today. Like, I want you to get to the point where you're the author of your career, not just a puppet and a passenger. Yeah, I thought it was interesting too, Bianca. Yeah. So any questions? Nadia, nice to see you. Lovely to see your face pop up. I just want to be here to like answer any questions. I'll give you a super quick rundown. So in terms of the graduation, I just want to refresh you on what we learned because I want you to keep this front of mind. And as you know, repetition is the key to growing that strong muscle in our mindset. So we texted a friend, the phone a friend exercise you can take with you anytime you're having a bad day, just phone a friend, right? Phone a friend, get them to give you some external feedback. Maybe you're spiraling, maybe you think you're being irrational. Just ask them to level set you and recheck you, right? We did the what did you eat for dinner challenge, which was like, can you remember what you had for dinner last Wednesday? No, me neither. Probably you don't remember what you did at work in December, August, May of last year. That stuff is important, which Bianca mentioned earlier. You know, she's already setting up success in terms of her future performance review by kind of having those touch points now. So that was all about like downloading the PepTalkHer app. It's totally free. And just making sure that you get those prompts to enter those career successes. So that was day 2. Then we talked about rejection being the best medicine, which was when I challenged you all to ask for a discount. And by the way, let me know in the chat, did anyone do that? I actually on that day walked the talk and I did the discount thing for a friend who's in some credit card debt. And we got the bank, well, actually it was the debt collector to agree to accept half. So it was like $2,000 in savings. Yes, it takes a hit on her credit rating. Her credit rating is shocking anyway. So for her, it doesn't really matter. It does matter if you have a good credit rating. That's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, rejection is the best medicine. That was about asking for a discount, cell phone company, grocery store, I don't care, anywhere, internet, whatever, you know, message Netflix and just see what they have to say. It was asking for a discount. The outcome was less important to me. And it was just more you understanding that when you get rejected, the world does not end. It's okay to ask. They don't have to say yes, totally fair, but it's okay for you to ask because you can be polite in how you do that. Airbnb, another really good one to negotiate. Then we talked about making it rain and we actually went into the calculator and like did some funky numbers and figured out like a $5,000 raise now. Cool, nice, lovely. But also long-term, whoa, compound interest, all that kind of stuff. It adds up to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, right? 40 years plus later. I think it was like 1.4 million, a 5K raise now over 40 years. That is insane. 5,000 is nice, obviously not going to say no, but when you project those numbers out, it's a powerful reminder to us and it gives us an incentive to want to have that tough conversation. So that was the point of the calculator exercise and my team can pop the link, Kim or Josie, if you don't mind just popping the link into the chat for folks who didn't get a chance to do that. And then we talked about the paycheck leapfrog, which was really an opportunity for you to connect with someone in your network or similar, just to have a conversation. So you're going to either reach out to someone you already knew, you're going to set a meeting with your boss, or you're going to reach out to a recruiter, right? So again, it's about taking action, taking a step towards that momentum that you're really looking for and that you want to call in terms of your career. Again, the thing that I learned today, like it's about authoring your career story, not being a passenger. Don't wait for the recruiters to come to you. Don't wait for your boss to ask you or whatever. No, get on the front foot. Right. And really, that's the message that I want you to take away from this is that it's okay. And you're allowed to be on the front foot of your career. Completely fine. Even though, you know, we're socialized from a young age to sort of just be grateful for what we're given, we're actually able to change that story. It's not easy to change that story that we've been told for so long, but it is possible. And so I'm excited to hear these shifts that folks have made. Whoa, Sydney, lower interest rate. Love to hear that. How did you feel after the conversation? If I can throw you in the deep end there.
I, just like what you're saying, feeling grateful for what you get has always been my thought process. And it sucks because even after the I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but after the pandemic, I was just grateful to have a job. And so this is a great reset to start asking for something more out of your life. I think it's a great like turning point for me. After 30, I stopped kind of asking for stuff. And I tapped out on a lot. So that was a great exercise. So thank you, Maggie.
Yeah. No, and thank you for hearing that. And there's seasons, right? Because sometimes you go really, really hard when you graduate. You're like, yeah, career. And then you're like, oh, this is kind of tiring. I have to do it for another 40 years. Yeah, and there's seasons for everything, right? And I think what it tells me that the fact that you all have gone through the challenge, you've all been so consistent in terms of showing up, like committing to doing the exercises, like committing to taking this space for yourself. It tells me that like you are ready for that next step. right? You're ready to step up, like Kath, maybe into this job, like Bianca, maybe into the pay raise conversation. Sydney's like saving money on a credit card. Like you're stepping into that next phase. And what is that going to look like? Right. And so that's my next question to you is like, do you feel like you have the support that you need now to kind of to run with that momentum? Now, some folks are amazing at just kind of like that, yes, go. Other folks like me, I need a lot of accountability. I need community. I love learning from other people. That's something that kind of lights me up, because I'll be like, oh, Sydney asked for a discount on a credit card. Let me try that. You know, like, wow, Nazia did that conversation with her boss. Let me choose that phrasing and try that next time. Like that's something that it's a good way for me to learn. It's a good way for me to kind of keep that consistent momentum and get those results, which is why I'm always in like, I'm in Fanush Torabi's mastermind. Some of you may know her. That's why I'm in Costa Rica. I'm here with Kristen Merrick and Lindsay Shookus, two good friends of mine who run some great communities. So I always like to surround myself with people who I see as like maybe 1 to 5 steps ahead of me, so that I can learn from them and kind of grow through their orbit, frankly. And so if that's something that's important for you, if you feel like that's the season that you're in right now, and if you feel like PepTalkHer is a good energy for you and what you need, then like I would love for you to join us in the Career Level Up. It starts next week, literally in a week. Enrollment closes on Friday. So Kim's got the link in the chat, I think. Kim, I might just get you to pop it in again. It's just PepTalkHer/CLU. So if that feels good to you, like feel free to join. There's a code that you get a discount. So I can put that in the chat for you too. Hang on, this is the code. And then the other thing I was going to say for the graduation, I just wanted to offer anyone who's at the graduation who joins, I'd love to do a one-on-one with you, because I just want to say thank you to you for being so consistent. So for anyone who's on the graduation call today, the team will make a note of that. And like, if you feel like it's a good fit, then I would also love to do a one-on-one coaching session with you as well. And hello to the baby who's joining us. We'll keep it PG. We love to hear it. We love to hear it. My little baby is home with dad at the moment. It's the longest I've been away from Hugo. So I can relate. I haven't heard baby cries for 48 hours, but I will be going back to that in about 2 days from now. So yeah, so I just want to make sure that you all feel supported. Like, see me as a cheerleader. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, please make sure that we do that. And then also I just wanted to hold some space for any questions that folks had about the course. Ooh, okay. Sydney's having an issue with the website. Let me see if this website wants to work. It worked for Bianca. Awesome. Don't we just love technology? Let me try this URL for you, Sydney, and see if we can here we go. Okay, cool. And then, so one of the questions, actually, I had a call with someone who's joining the course today. Her question was buy the course. It just doesn't have the live community component. And I feel like both are good, but like for me, I like the community. I like the interaction live like this. So you can ask me questions like Samantha, we brainstorm stuff with her live on the calls and stuff like that. So if you want to like, if the live part is important to you and if community is important to you, and if it's something that you feel like is important to you over the next 12 months, then this is the cohort to join, I would say. I don't know what will happen next year. Let's just see what happens. Maybe one of the coaches in our community might run the program. I'm not sure. We haven't decided that yet. We're just got to get through the next 6 months of launch of yeah, I've told you about the podcast as well. I was going to say as well. So time commitment wise, she was asking the same thing. She's like, what if I can't make the calls? And so it's all on the portal. And actually I'll log in now so you guys can see it. What it actually looks like on the back end. But yeah, so we meet, so Samantha knows this, we meet every 2 weeks, we meet for an hour, and then we can go longer if we need to. And then also in the Slack, we have back and forth there. We celebrate wins, brainstorm challenges and stuff like that that comes up as well. And then you also get access to our broader Slack channel, which I can, yeah, let me just go ahead and screen share, hopefully. Yeah, I think it's okay if I do that. So this is the broader Slack channel here as well. You can see, and so we have different, like, yeah, there's different channels for different things and all that kind of stuff. So people share like codes, or like there's an event that my friend's running in New York this week and she's given me a free code. So I'm going to pop that in the chat after this call so folks can attend for free. There was something else that came up. Oh yeah, there's a big conference that's coming up, which is really cool, a women's conference, and they sent us an amazing discount. So I'll share that with you all because you kind of get access to that and my Rolodex as well. If folks are hiring, I'll make sure that I share the jobs to the Slack community. So that's kind of like the family, I guess, that you join as part of the PepTalkHer community. And then the other question, people were like, well, it's kind of cool, but maybe next year. And actually on this course, one of the people on this retreat that I'm on in Costa Rica this week, Kristen Merrick, who's one of the co-hosts, she's a financial advisor. And we were talking about like, when does someone take action, whether that's saving for your retirement, whether that's thinking about getting a pay raise. Hey, Victoria, what is the right time? And she shared a really interesting story with me. She said that she spoke to someone 6 years ago, this lady who was thinking about using a financial advisor. She didn't, and she's since retired. And Kristen had another meeting with her, and the lady was like, I'm a bit screwed in retirement. And Kristen was like, yeah, you are, and you're retired and you have no earning capacity, and I kind of can't help you anymore. Like, she can obviously help her a little bit, but she's like, if she'd worked with me 6 years ago, I could have told her all these loopholes. I could have, she was also telling me she helped one of her clients get their mortgage rate from 8% down to 2.5%. So she was like, oh, like, and so obviously that's a massive saving, but like, imagine if you had 6 years and you were still paying 8% for 6 years, you know what I mean? And so I thought it was kind of an interesting analogy when I think about, again, the compound interest impact of getting a pay raise, whether it's $1,000, whether it's $10,000, whether it's $32,000, getting that today or this quarter or this year versus 2025, 2028, 2030, like, you kind of can't really even think about the astronomical impact that will have. Even to Samantha's point, she had the conversation. It didn't go how she wanted. They're revisiting it in 12 to 14 weeks. That's better than her waiting until November to have that conversation. Because then 12 to 14 weeks is like March 2025. It's just like all getting kicked down the road. And so my question to you would be like, also like, are you kicking the can down the road in terms of some of these conversations? Or is this actually the time where you're like, do you know what? I'm actually just going to like take a leap of faith. I'm going to like jump in the deep end and just see what happens. And by the way, if you hate it and if you're like, I love the challenge, I hate the course, it's fine. We have a money back thing over 7 days. So if it's for you, that's awesome. If it's not for you, that's fine. Kim will sort you out with a refund. So that's one of the things that's important to us. I want it to feel aligned for you. I'm not a hard salesy person. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but it's just not who I am. So I just like to always be really upfront about that. But just to say, like, investing in yourself now is also like, yes, it's a good thing to do, but also it's going to pay dividends for you. And you might remember from one of the conversations we had of like, what is the return on investment? I would hope at a bare minimum, if you're investing, let's say $1,800 to $2,000 in this course, I would hope that you would at least get double that back within a year. Probably it will be a lot more than that. And then also, can we quantify some of the other stuff that will stay with you hopefully for life in terms of those mindset changes, that not feeling stuck, to TJ's point, like seeing opportunities instead of seeing rejection as like feeling flat, like Samantha was talking about, now seeing it as like, okay, now what? Let me just like actually tackle this from a proactive mindset rather than just kind of like being on the back foot and feeling like I'm a puppet. And someone asked me to just reframe that thing that I said earlier. Basically, this yoga teacher in Costa Rica said to me today, she said, just to recap, someone's asked me in a DM, she was talking about the word authority, and basically the core meaning of that being like being in alignment with being the true author of your life story, like feeling values aligned and like being in control of like how you steer your life story. And so the thing that I want to relate to that in terms of the career level up is like, I want you to be the author of your career story. I don't want you to feel like a puppet. I don't want you to feel like a chess piece in a big organization or a small organization. I want you to feel like you're the kingmaker, you're the rainmaker, you make decisions. Yes, you get input, but ultimately you're directing that. And Kath spoke to that so beautifully when she was saying like, she's not just going to accept scraps in terms of salary. Like, she's clear on what she deserves, what she's worth, and that's what's going to happen, and even if it doesn't, it's a negotiation that she's going to enter into from a place of power, rather than just being like, yes, I'll accept the first offer. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, I'm just seeing the, thank you. Yeah, it is exciting to think about having another kid. That could be a bit crazy. Okay, so I'm going to get Kim to answer this question because she's better than me at this. But hang on. So the sessions are, I just want to make sure I get the time zone right. So the sessions for the career leveler, I'm just going to triple check. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so the sessions are 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so that is Wednesdays in Australia, 9 a.m. There we go. Yes, Wednesdays in Australia, so it's Tuesday evenings in the United States, which is quite late for those folks in Europe. And then it's in the morning for folks in APAC. Yeah. 10 a.m. Okay, so sorry, it might be 9 a.m. for Queensland, 10 a.m. for Sydney siders. I'm not sure if you're on daylight savings at the moment. That always marks us up. And then the program itself goes for 8 weeks. And then we will meet on Zoom like this every 2 weeks throughout the program. And then I was going to share with you the Teachable so you can see what it looks like on the back end as well. So then the course itself, like you have access to that in perpetuity. So as we update it, like as you go for a new job in 3 years, you might want to revisit the network matrix. You might want to revisit the negotiation checklist. So that's fine. You can always do that, and you always can just log in. And if you have any issues, then our team will sort you out. But you get all of the back catalog. And Samantha can probably speak to that. Samantha, do you watch the videos every week, or do you before our live calls?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so some
Like
people
come prepared kind of with
nice.
questions.
Yeah, which is good. And not everyone does. Some people just prefer, they don't actually want to watch the videos. They just want to show up, which is totally fine too. There's no right or wrong. It's just like whatever feels good for you. And I'm just gonna bring this up so you can see it on the back end too. Preview curriculum. Here we go. So yeah, so there's like bite-sized videos that you can watch ahead of time. Here you go. So this is for the current cohort. So you'll see here, so there's different videos versus like different PDFs that you can see. And then there's like, so there'll be like scripts on, like we have a script on apologizing, which is kind of really handy. And then we talk a lot about, this is really great, by the way. This is like a little sneak peek. So this is like some different language that you can use for apologizing. And then we give you a script so that you can be really clear on your elevator pitch on like how to kind of identify what that can look like, just so that you're always telling your story in a way that works for you. You get to define what your story is at work, especially if you've been at an organization for a while. Sometimes other folks define you. So yeah, there's different like checklists you can see in here. Let me open up. And then there's also like the vault to watch the coaching calls back and stuff like that as well. And then, as I said, the cohort itself, we hang out mainly in the Slack group, and then the calls themselves are done on Zoom. So very similar to this, basically. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions or things that are coming up for them? I think the thing is like being clear on like what is the what's the transformation that you need right now? Maybe it's salary, maybe it's promotion, but maybe it's just like an inner niggling something. You just don't kind of know what it is. And maybe there's a reason why you've kind of been connected here. Maybe you need to meet someone in the course. Maybe there is a shift that's coming up for you. And it's also about like being really clear. And you might be like, well, I am a pretty confident person, but like, do you truly understand what your value is? And are you willing to walk away? Right? Do you know what season you're in right now? What could that look like? What does that work-life balance look like? And just evaluating that in a way. And then the other thing is like also being really clear, which I love, is the first 2 modules is like understanding your strengths, and how Samantha is actually very different to me, which is very different to Sydney and Kath and Bianca. And actually, in many ways, it helps you reframe your career away from competition and more towards like leaning into your zone of genius. So that's something that I think is a big shift for folks as well. You're not competing with other people. You're just getting to a place of really understanding more what you can bring and how that's different, and leaning into opportunities that align in that way. So those were the main things that I wanted to share with you today. I'll pop the link in the chat again, in case, again, if it feels like it's the right step for you, we would love you to join. Kim, do you mind to put that code back in again? I think there's a $200 off code. I think it's Legend 200. I just want to get her to check to make sure. I think that's the one that she's created. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Thanks, Kim. And then, as I said, for you all, I also want to arrange a one-on-one coaching session for people in the next cohort who've joined on this call, on this graduation program as well. Because we want to celebrate you. We want to say thank you to you for investing in yourself. We hope that you'll take these lessons from the challenge. Please pay it forward to other people that you mentor, that you know, your kids, friends, your mentees at work, someone you meet on the bus. Just pay it forward, because who knows how this could have a ripple effect, so that hopefully we can get to that tidal wave of change that I'm looking for us to get to. Because otherwise, if we wait at the current pace of change, we're looking at 200 years before we get to equality, according to the United Nations. And by the way, a Bloomberg journalist was messaging me yesterday, their head of equality, asking for a comment on a story she's working on. And she was having a debate internally with one of her colleagues about whether we should be proud of the fact that there's 9% of CEOs of Fortune 500 who identify as female. And I was like, are we celebrating 9%, less than 9%? I don't think we should be, in terms of data for women, isn't it? It's kind of depressing, and obviously much worse for women of color, which makes my blood boil. So thank you. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you all for joining the career level, for joining the 5-day challenge. I'm so delighted that you're investing in yourself. And I really think that like this is a truly like I think just like being aware of where you're at and having that consciousness, I feel like it puts you ahead of 80% of folks in the workforce, truly, because most people never actually stop to smell the roses and think about their career. They just get stuck in the rat race, right? And you all are actually going, you know what, I actually kind of want more than the normal rat race. And so I just want to applaud that and say, well done. I think it's really exciting. I think it's awesome. And I can't wait to hear all the awesome things that happen for you all in the coming months and years, no doubt. And let's get that pay raise happening now so that we can see the compounding impacts of that over the years to come. Reach out if there's anything I can do to help. Any questions, you can drop me an email. I'll put my email in the chat for you as well. If you've got questions about the course, happy to jump on a call and talk you through stuff as well. But yeah, this concludes officially the 5-day challenge, and we will hopefully see you on the Career Level Up launch next week, which goes for 8 weeks. So that will really start a big another transformation for you all going from there. I can't wait to see what that will yield, given the success we've had this week. In some of even just, Kath was sharing, Bianca was sharing, pretty amazing after 5 days. So I'm excited to see what happens for you all after 8 weeks as well. Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Stay well. Cheers.